The morning light slowly filters through the lush green branches of the orange trees, creating a rare, peaceful scene. A gentle breeze sweeps by, carrying the scent of earth and plants as if to soothe Truong's soul. He stands in the middle of the orange grove, holding a wicker basket, smiling as he looks at the golden, ripe oranges hanging like precious gems on the branches. Each orange he picks is treated with care, feeling the softness of its skin as his hand touches it, then gently placing it in the basket. The sweet scent of the oranges blending with the fresh morning air fills his heart with tranquility. These orange trees are not just the product of hard labor, but also silent companions always present in the moments when he seeks peace. Truong always finds calmness when standing among these trees, where space and time seem to stand still. He watches the branches sway, his eyes filled with nostalgia, as if searching for a forgotten part of his memory. Pausing for a moment, Truong takes a deep breath, feeling the morning chill begin to give way to the warm sunlight. When he looks up, the sky is clear, with soft white clouds drifting by, as if wanting to tell him about the simple things he has missed. A wave of memories suddenly floods back, pulling him into the past to a time when everything was still intact. He remembers his family, his friends, the simple, happy moments that now seem to be nothing more than fragments in his memory. Truong cannot deny that although the memories are no longer vivid, the feeling of those past days remains. Like a gentle fragrance, a warm ray of light, these memories never truly leave him. Each time he stands among these orange trees, he feels reconnected with the deepest values of life, the things he once overlooked for so many years. Truong turns around, lifts the basket of oranges, and prepares to leave the grove. It's a familiar act, taking the oranges to sell and make a living. But what he doesn't know is that this moment will officially mark a turning point in his life. As he steps out of the grove, he leaves behind the peace it brought him, sensing a new, unfamiliar feeling. The feeling of change. He has decided that no matter what, he must step out of his comfort zone and seek new opportunities. And when he reaches the market, an unexpected encounter or decision will forever change his life. His heart, though unsure of what lies ahead, is ready to face challenges and embrace the new things that life has to offer. No one knows that this moment will open up unexpected paths in Truong's life. Paths he has never imagined, but ones that will surely become an important part of his life's journey. As Truong leaves the orange grove preparing to embark on a new journey in a nearby village, Tunu is also getting ready for her usual trip to the market. The sun shines brightly, casting a soft golden light over the small garden behind the house, where the rows of green vegetables seem to have just bloomed. Tiêunu, with her porcelain skin and long, delicate hands, gently bends down, carefully selecting each vegetable seedling, her eyes focused on the thriving plants. She runs her soft hands over the leaves, feeling the life stirring from the earth and sky, as though it were a sacred connection between her and nature. Each time she touches the fresh greens, her heart lightens as if she's nurturing not only the garden, but also herself. Tunu always finds joy and peace in gardening. It's not just a daily task, but a passion, a way for her to release the worries of life. Over time, the garden has become a safe haven, a place where she can forget the hustle and bustle and find peace for her soul. Every time she sees the young plants sprout, her heart feels at ease, as if a part of her is blooming and growing too. But today, beyond buying vegetables, Tiêunu carries with her an invisible hope, a lingering longing for someone. The years have passed, but the love she feels for Truong still remains intact in her heart, like a small flame that is never extinguished. Every time she goes to the market, she wonders if someday he will return, if there will be a chance encounter that will make him remember her. That love, though, faded with time, still lingers in her heart, like a wildflower, fragile but resilient. Tiêunu cannot forget the sweet memories with Truong, those afternoons spent walking through the village, the peaceful moments when life was simpler. Though time has passed, she still holds on to a small hope that one day he will return and they will begin again from where they left off. Every time she goes to the market, whenever she sees a familiar scene, her heart flutters, asking herself whether today might be the day he comes back. With her basket full of vegetables, Tiêunu walks quickly out of the house, unaware that her steps are leading her to a fateful encounter. The familiar path seems to guide her into another world, where each house, each garden seems to hold old memories. Her eyes are focused ahead, but in her heart, she is filled with vague images that have faded over time. No one knows that right at this moment, an unexpected meeting is waiting. Her steps are not just a journey into a new day, but the traces of a much larger journey, a journey to rediscover love and hope. As she steps into the market, no one expects that this is where the old memories will come to life again. Today's market will become the place where two lost hearts will meet, where hope will be revived and love will return after years of separation. The market was always bustling with activity, hurried footsteps, and the calls of vendors trying to attract customers. Everything unfolded in a whirlwind of noise with no moment of calm. Tiêunu weaved her way through the crowd, her eyes focused on the stalls brimming with products. While many things caught her attention, one thought alone occupied her mind, the hope of an encounter, something that would change her life. The basket of vegetables in her hand swayed gently with her steps, the vibrant green leaves shining brightly under the sunlight. She paused in front of a vegetable stall, carefully selecting her produce just as she always did. But today, something felt different. It was as though someone was watching her, an invisible gaze that she couldn't quite place. Tiêunu felt a pull in her heart, but she couldn't explain why. Suddenly, amid the hustle and bustle of the market, her eyes stopped on a man standing at a fruit stall. In that instant, her heart seemed to skip a beat. The sensation was strange, both familiar and foreign, as though she had met this man before, but couldn't quite remember where. She stood still, her eyes searching for an answer. The man was Truong. He stood there holding a basket of oranges, his gaze drifting over the bustling marketplace around him. The sunlight illuminated his face, creating clear contours, as if time had not dulled his features. But for a brief moment, Truong felt a shift in the air. A strong feeling surged within him, as though a memory had just awakened. Truong turned around his eyes, unintentionally meeting Tiêunu's. Immediately, an overwhelming sense of familiarity washed over him. All the memories he thought were forgotten came rushing back into his mind. The moments they shared, walking through village paths, the peaceful afternoons spent together, their laughter echoing in the quiet air. Everything played out like a slow-motion film in his head. He couldn't believe his eyes. It was her, the one he had once loved, the one he thought he would never see again. Truong stood frozen, as if an invisible force was pulling him toward her. His steps felt like they couldn't move, but his gaze could not break away from Tiêunu. Tiêunu stood still, too unable to believe what was happening. She looked into Truong's eyes, sensing the change in his expression. The moment he turned to look at her, the air around them seemed to quiet. The sounds of the market, the voices of vendors all seemed to fade, leaving only those brief moments where they stood looking at each other, recognizing each other after so many years apart. All the memories of the past, the feelings of love, the regrets, everything surged back into their hearts. Truong and Tiêunu gazed at each other in silence, as if communicating things that words could never express. Everything around them seemed to vanish, leaving only the two of them in this moment of fate. Finally, Tiêunu took a step toward Truong. Her eyes filled with tears, but these were tears of happiness, of remembrance, and of a renewed hope. She gently spoke, "Truong, is it really you?" Those words escaped her lips as an undeniable admission of a love that would never fade no matter how much time had passed. Tiêunu stood frozen in the crowd, her eyes wide open, unable to believe what was happening before her eyes. The whole world seemed to stop, leaving only the figure of the man approaching her. Her heart raced as if it were about to burst out of her chest, and in that moment, a mix of emotions flooded her, both familiar and strange. After all these years, how could he appear right now in front of her? She couldn't take her eyes off Truong, the man she had once loved, now only a faint memory etched deeply in her mind. When their gazes met, Tiêunu's heart seemed to melt. The emotions she had tried to bury suddenly surged like a powerful wave, sweeping away all her thoughts. Memories of the past flooded back peaceful afternoons. In the village walks they took together, sweet moments that seemed to have been erased by time. Truong took a step closer, his movements calm, without haste or worry, only a powerful urge within him to see her again. He didn't need to speak. His eyes said everything. All the hardships and challenges he had faced seemed to vanish as soon as he saw her. The long, endless days could never erase Tiêunu's image from his heart. He missed her, missed the peaceful moments when they both looked toward a brighter future. When their gazes met, a strange warmth spread within Truong's heart. All the worries, sleepless nights, and past sorrows seemed to heal with a single glance, a single moment. He no longer felt weary or burdened by life. There was only her, only the lost love now returned. Truong didn't need to say more, because in his eyes, everything he wanted her to understand had already been conveyed. Those eyes held love, longing, and even regret. He gently took Tiêunu's hand, and a warm feeling enveloped both their hearts, as if they had been waiting for this moment their entire lives. Truong looked at her, his eyes glowing with emotion. He spoke softly, his voice warm and full of love. "Tiêunu, do you know, I've missed you every day. Every second, every minute I've missed you. The days without you by my side felt like I was lost in my own life." Tiêunu looked up at him, tears streaming down her face, but she couldn't hold back the emotions inside her. She lowered her head, unable to meet his gaze, but Truong's words seemed to tear her heart apart. "I've missed you too. Truong, I've always hoped for a day like this, a day when we could meet again, even though everything has changed. But now, I don't know what to do anymore." Truong gently lifted her chin, gazing deeply into her eyes. He smiled softly, his voice both gentle and certain. We've been lost to each other for too long. But now you can trust that I will never leave you again. We'll start over together. I won't let you go again. A sense of warmth, safety, and love filled Tieunu's heart. She no longer felt alone or lost. Her heart, though scarred many times, was now healed by Truong's presence. She held his hand tightly, saying nothing more, just silently, feeling the love they had lost and now found again. Amid the bustling crowd of the market, amidst the loud voices, Truong and Tieu stood there, their hearts beating in unison. The world around them seemed to disappear, leaving only the two of them in this moment where love had returned. Tieu whispered softly, her voice choked with emotion. Truong, can we go back to the way we were? Truong looked at her, his eyes shining like a flame from deep within his heart. We'll start over, I promise. And in that moment, there was no more painful past, no more worries. Only love remained, the love they had lost, but now had the chance to rebuild from the broken pieces. With steady steps, Truong and Tieu walked home together, carrying the joy and happiness of a fateful reunion. They were no longer in a rush, no longer filled with anxiety or unease, but simply enjoying this moment as if they had been waiting for it for a long time. All the pain, all the years of separation now seemed like distant memories, making way for new happiness, a love reborn, entering their familiar home. Truong felt as though he had returned to himself. The warmth and peace seemed to fill the space. Tieu looked around, a gentle smile on her face, as she saw everything unchanged. But now everything seemed different. The small house, the lush orange grove, everything had become more meaningful than ever before because they had found each other again. Together, they took care of the orange grove they had built from the beginning. Truong meticulously cared for each tree, while Tieu joyfully planted new vegetables as if renewing their life. Every small task became a great joy because they had each other sharing every beautiful moment in life. But the greatest happiness for them wasn't just the orange grove. It was Diêp, the child they had once longed for. The little boy ran around the garden, his tiny feet skipping across the lush green grass. His joyful laughter was like a sweet melody filling the house and making the family space warmer than ever. Truong looked at Tieu, his eyes filled with love. He didn't say anything, just held her hand, feeling the warmth of her small hands. Their lives were no longer filled with worries or sleepless nights due to hardship. Instead, they enjoyed peaceful mornings together, cozy evenings at the dinner table, and sweet moments when all three sat together watching Diêp grow each day. Tieu looked at Diêp, her eyes sparkling like bright stars. She turned to Truong and whispered softly, "Do you see it? Diêp looks so much like you, from his eyes to his smile. I can't believe we found each other again, and now we have a family." Truong looked at her, his eyes warm and tender. He squeezed her hand tighter, his voice deep and full of affection. "We've been lost to each other for too long, but now, all we need is the present, this family. I promise I will never let you, or die, feel lonely again." Tieu felt her heart filled to the brim, no longer with worries or fears. She knew that after all these years, their love and trust had returned. This small family would be the place where they would build a bright future together. Diêp ran up to them, grabbing their hands, looking up with innocent joy. The little boy giggled. "Mom, Dad, can I help Dad water the oranges?" Tunu and Truong exchanged a glance, their eyes filled with joy and pride. Tunu bent down, embracing Diêp and kissing his forehead. "Of course, my love. Dad and I will teach you all about the orange grove." Truong stood beside them, looking at his family with loving eyes. Despite the hardships and struggles they had faced, he now felt like the happiest man in the world. He had Tunu, the wife he had always loved, and Diêp, the child he had always dreamed of. Truong looked at Tunu and softly said, "We once thought we'd never have a family like this. But now you and Diêp are everything to me. I don't need anything else." Tunu smiled, her eyes bright with trust and hope. "I feel the same way, Truong. I once dreamed of a day like this, and now it has come true." Finally, after all the years that had passed, Truong and Tunu had found each other again. Love, trust, and small hopes had turned into reality. Together, they walked into a bright future where there was no more sorrow, only complete happiness. While no one knew what the future would bring, they were certain they would always be together, facing difficulties, sharing joys and sorrows, and caring for their small family. Watching Diêp run and play Truong and Tunu couldn't help but feel proud. Their lives were no longer filled with worries, no longer lonely nights. They had found each other and rebuilt the happiness they had lost. And more than that, they had Diêp, a precious gift that life had given them. Together, they would walk through life no longer alone, no longer facing difficulties, but only filled with love and happiness.